Everybody just keep it cool, while others are being taken for fool. Slow down, slow down, slow down.
Hi everybody. This interview I made with Kevork Elmassian, who flee from Syria to Lebanon, independent journalist, and we will talk about the situation in Syria and what is really going on. Let's talk about the Zionists, because I saw that you were saying Jewish Zionists. So can you tell me your point of view about Zionists and who they are?
Zionism as an ideology that grew up during the last century, it is in some sort of expansionist ideology in the Middle East. They think that this is a promised land for the Jews in Palestine, and it was in their biblical promise to have their own land and borders of this land. But it is certainly an expansionist, and they are growing day and day. The Zionists are also not only Jews, they are Christians, and I also now hail the Arabs in the Gulf as a Zionist because they are basically serving the same interest of the Americans in the Middle East. So now we have Zionist Jews, Zionist Christians, and Zionist Muslims. This is a new.
Okay,
this is very new.
Okay, because my research, and I researched the whole global thing like since 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I had I didn't have much proofs and research. There in 20 years ago was no internet around, you know, so so it was very difficult. You had to read books, and the books was even you not allowed, and you know, so on. So after my research, the Zionists have nothing to do with Jews. That is just like today. It's very much linked to Jewish and Israel and the Holy Land and all that thing. But I think if I talk about Illuminati, I think you know who. You hear that already?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So that is like the enlightened one. You know, it's like the ones who really think, and that comes from everywhere. So you agree that Zionists is not like, we cannot say the people of Israel are not the Zionists, right?
No, it's not about religion, you know. I'm saying it's an ideology, but you can be even Muslim and be Zionist.
I fully agree. And so if we come to the point of, I see the whole, let's say, Israel-Palestinian conflict, I see that everybody, like the Jewish and the Palestinians, are victims. It's not like, it's like they get the money from the same guys, if you want.
Yeah.
Hamas and Israel, they get the money from the same guys, and that is how I was. I learned about really the conflict and what I get out of it. I say I never put like a limit on my thoughts, because if I put like a limit, and if I have like a conclusion on something, my thought is finished. So I'm blocked, and I cannot see further. So that's why I always say that is what I see for the moment, that like everybody, the whole humanity is victim of that so-called Zionists, because even Joe Biden, he was saying you don't need to be a Jewish to be Zionist.
Yes, Zionist. Yes, that's true. There is a very perfect book about it. It's called The Israel Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy. It's one of the best sold books in Europe. When I was in Paris, I read that book, The Israel Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy.
Okay.
It's a perfect book. It explains you with names and statistics how the Zionists grew up in the United States, and how they, for example, pushed for war in Iraq and the new Middle East, and all this stuff, the war in Lebanon, and then how the Zionists planned to invade Syria, and it didn't work.
Yeah, if you really make the research, you even find that the Zionists was paying Hitler.
Yeah.
So that everything that's for a lot of people it's very confusing to hear that kind of information, but the people can research it. It is out there. It is really there. So if I come back from my list, I come to America. and maybe at the same time I come to the whole Middle East and Syria. When I was in Syria and I was traveling around Lebanon and the different countries in the Middle East, when I was in Aleppo also, I was told that like all leaders in the Middle East are paid by the Americans.
All what? Paid?
All governments
Government.
in the Middle East are
Mhm.
paid by Americans.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
In some way, this is relatively true because the dictatorships, as a concept, authoritarian systems are in the interest of the Americans because these authoritarian systems always keep the people ignorant. You know, they teach them an ideological curriculum and they keep them like a parrots. They don't have a critical thinking. They don't have any innovation. But in the last years we had some sort of independence, you know.
Yeah.
For example, Syria, Iran, and some other non-state actors in the Middle East tried to start building its own independent economies, far from the American and European agendas, and they try to even attack the Turks in this. A few years ago, it was 2 years ago, there was there will be a joint passport between Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. It will be called Schengen. It's like Schengen. It's called Schengen. Schengen.
Okay.
The same. For me, any regional power here, it will threaten the hegemony of the United States. And as we know, the United States is pursuing a realpolitik. For them, they should either intervene directly or make neighbors fight each other. This is the very basic policy they did with Iran and Iraq, and now doing it with Syria and Turkey. Now, if both sides went to war, Syria and Turkey, only the United States will benefit from it. Even though Turkey is a NATO member. At that time, Saddam Hussein was the friend of Americans when they go with war in Iran, but they want for both sides to be destroyed because they want to keep them weak.
Yeah.
Now, the rising powers were Syria, Iran, and Turkey, and now these three powers are fighting each other in a proxy war. But if they went for a regional war, it would be destructive for all of us except Americans.
I see. But when I was also in Lebanon, I was told that Syria was making trouble in Lebanon, always like because of like everything what happened, like the whole tension that always happened. It always happened like in springtime. So because Syria was jealous of Lebanon because there was a tourist country, was like the people like to come. Did you hear that?
This is not about the jealousy. We had 7 million tourists in 2010. Lebanon didn't have 1 million tourists in 2010.
Okay.
This is not about tourists.
In 2010,
but here in Lebanon, their economy is based on tourism. There is a big, huge difference. In Syria, we have companies, we have industries, we have energy. We have a lot of stuff to have our income, but in Lebanon they don't have anything. It's only it's based on services, you know.
Yeah.
That's why they are touristic state. But for Syria, Lebanon was always its backyard. Syria, after the invasion of after the civil war during the 70s. They entered to Lebanon to stabilize it between backers, okay? And then they fight Israelis in Lebanon, and they stayed here. They empowered
the Syrians.
The Syrians fought the Israelis in Lebanon.
Okay.
So the Syrians basically changed the fighting ground from Syria to Lebanon. You know, they are fighting Israel now from Lebanon. That's why they empowered Hezbollah in the south, and they made it that they gave them a very huge weapons. Yeah, even missiles, even long range missiles. They have Scud missiles now here in South, as if they are a state. You know, it's a state inside the state. But that's how real politics. Because you have when you will go for peace talks with Israel, you have to be powerful. But Syria, due to its, they don't have an air force, strong air force like Israel. Israel can destroy Syria within maybe 30 minutes because they are superior from the air.
Syria don't have air force?
No, they don't have. They are not superior like Israel. You know, they don't
No.
have F-16 or other
Okay.
stuff. Israelis have it. So the Syrians changed the equation. They did a balance of terror from Lebanon. The Hezbollah now can do guerrilla attacks on Israel. They can defend themselves, and even they can defend Syria. In 2006, when the war happened in Lebanon, there were Syrian generals in South Lebanon. They were directing Hezbollah. They were funding them, supporting them with weapons, everything. And this gives a security for Syria that the war is not happening on its territories, but it's happening on the Lebanese territories. You know, they changed the place of the war,
Yeah.
and this is a very dirty politics in the Middle East. Everybody here, if you are not a wolf, if you are a sheep, wolves will eat you. You know.
Okay, I see.
You have to survive. I don't blame the Lebanese because they have the right to be independent and to have their own governments and everything. But here in Lebanon, everybody intervened, from Iran, from Syria to Mossad to United States. Everybody has their own agenda.
Okay.
In Lebanon, when there are elections, the people, the founders pay more than what the founders of Barack Obama paid during its elections. Here is much more important than the elections of the United States, because there the Republicans and the Democrats are the same shit. But here you have the 14th March and the 8th March. They are totally different. 8th March is to the Syrians and the Iranians, and the 14th March for the Americans. And that's how two projects are always in conflict in Lebanon.
Okay, I see. And now the situation before the so-called revolution in Syria. When I was in Syria, how to say, I feel very safe because the Secret Service was always around me. So how to say, the feeling I had was not like that it was a free country. It was not a free country. It was a poor country. It was a very close country, very suppressed, but still with people who like to live like in the whole Middle East. I personally I enjoy to be with the people around and with the simple people. That is for me always like something very funny. When I went on the on the castle, the castle in the middle of where also was the market. Very sad. I saw both pictures when I was there, and I saw the picture of the burning market. When I came on that place with I was with Eve. I was there. And we walked in that market there, and there was like 2,000 people was like talking and stuff, and I don't know. When I come on this market, was quiet.
Everybody's watching you.
And for sure, I was told that was like a free day, so like all this so-called simple people was like in the streets, and they I think they never saw a guy like me. But just to say, the impression I had of Syria was still very close. Was very religious. But in a way, you also have to have the clubs. You have the opening. You have to like with the people I was around. Was not you didn't feel like in the some centuries away.
So. Yes, the Syrian. I've been in Syria for, as I said, 22 years, and the Secret Service beat me once in the street, because I was standing in front of a school and waiting for my brother to come out because I basically wanted to drive him to home, and they thought that I'm chasing girls of the school there, and they came without even asking me anything. They started beating me there. So basically, we were a secret service state. We were a police state. Everybody was like afraid from the secret police. Okay. But this is for me now. It's like a dream because we want that security to come back now. Because even at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, when you have like $1 million in your bag and you are walking in the street, no one can touch you. It was very safe country. We were maybe the seventh, as the statistics, seventh safest country in the world in Syria. But in our country was zero. Okay, zero. It was only the Baas party, and there are some little parties who are also dominated by the Baas party. And in 2005, the president put a reform plan for political openness, so-called political openness. But the secret services or the intelligence services said we can make a balance, like to open our market and to keep the politics closed, you know.
Yeah.
And then President Assad appointed someone called Abdullah Derbi. He was a Western guy. He took all the economy of Syria. He started to make some openness and to allow the Western brands and companies to invest in Syria. But this was not enough. At the end of the day, when the Arab awakening started, everybody in Syria was like saying, "Yalla, it's our turn now. It's our turn now." Because for me, it would be in my interest to have political openness. You know, I'm studying political science, and I want to have a future in the country. I don't want to be from Baas or to have a good connections with the government and other generals to be, a diplomat, let's say, in the future.
Yeah.
But when the revolution started from Dara,
but tell me if we can talk about the start of the revolution, because that is a point that like. I'm not sure if like everybody really know what was going on before and what make that there is a so-called revolution. Was in the beginning the people going in the streets and start a revolution, or was that all made up?
First of all, the first protest happened in Syria was in Damascus, in the center, in the city of Damascus, in the center, not in Daraa. There was a police who abused a citizen because he was driving a car, and the policeman, I don't know what happened between them, they clashed and the police beat him. He was not an intelligence, only police. And then hundreds of people gathered and they started calling that the Syrian people would never be humiliated. The Syrian people would never be humiliated, and they start chanting this. Within a few minutes, the president called the interior minister, and the interior minister went to the protest place, you know, and he promised them that they will sue this police and they will send him to the court. We don't know what happened to this police, but we were in the middle of the events in Egypt, you know, and this protest happened in Syria. But then 2 weeks later, one girl and two guys started to chant next to the mosque of Umayyad in Damascus, freedom, freedom, freedom. And these people are in Paris. Okay, these one girl and two boys are now in Paris. They escaped Syria. And they filmed themselves as if the secret intelligence are beating them, especially the girl, because she is covered with a scarf. This will raise the sentiments of the Muslims that this regime is abusing a Muslim girl. But then it was proved 100%, and because there was another one who was recording the video, that these guys who abused the girl were working with them. You know, this man who abused the girl, it's all made up. This thing, it was made up. But in Dara, in the southern part of Syria, it was not made up.
I see. Because
there was children who were spraying and graffiti. They wrote, I think, we want to overthrow the regime, something like that. They are 12 years old, you know. And the uncle, cousin of the president, was the head of the political security branch of this area. And he sacked him. Okay, he sacked him, but he didn't send him to court. This was the biggest mistake, because if he sent this guy to the court, everything would finish, because the people in Dara, let's say the clerics and the VIP people went to the president and told him, if you send this guy to the court, we will finish everything in Dara. But he is his cousin. And this is some sort of, family stuff. and the whole Alawites said they will protect this guy who was the head of the security, political security.
I see.
But for the sake of the truth, okay, in the first week in Daraa, when they were saying it's peaceful, it's peaceful, it's peaceful.
When was that?
In the first week in Daraa, in the southern part of Syria.
Which year was that?
In the first week of the process, it was in May, at the end of the May, in 2001.
In 2011. 11, okay.
Yeah. 3 security forces died in Daraa, okay, with knives, not with guns, because they slaughtered them. And then the Syrian regime sent their troops, because they pull out the security forces and then send the troops and tanks to Daraa. And according to the Syrian government story, they said that they captured a lot of weapons. They filmed it, but some people say that it is made up by the regime. Others say no. I have friends in Daraa. They say that yes, everybody has guns there. You know, Yani, they have their own guns, but he is not sure if they shot the security forces or not.
Okay.
But the violence in Syria started in a city called Panias. In Panias, from the first day, it was armed. There were no peaceful protests. So we can generalize and say that it was peaceful, then it went violent. You know,
Okay,
in some cities it was peaceful, in other places it began violent.
Okay, so what you are saying is that in this time, 2011, or let's say end of 2010, it was possible to have a peaceful demonstration all over Syria without no problem.
It was not possible. No, it was not possible. They would never allow you to protest against the government. But
okay.
We have to know that the president, the person of the president, not the regime. Okay, he himself had a huge popularity in Syria. For me, if he declared the presidential elections from the first day, he would win it 9% from the first day. But this war, and many people lost their relatives and cousins, and because in some places, even in places where there are a lot of pro-governments, but they attack this place because they are like armed people, you know, and these people turn against the government.
I see. Okay, now if we are coming like, so there was a need, what you're saying, there was a need for change in Syria, in the government, but what you're saying, Assad was not close to a change of regime, but would he step back if the people ask him to step back?
The people to ask him, say he can't step back, because President Assad, if we compare it with his father, he built the regime. Okay, this guy, the regime bring him to the power. There's a big difference. So this guy is not the most powerful one in the regime. There are a lot of people surrounding him.
Assad,
and he cannot
what you're saying, Assad is not the most powerful. It's not like he is
not
like,
alone. He's not alone.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people.
Like in all the regimes you have, but like maybe in a regime in the Western world, you could say he is like the king, and all the other one doing the whole work of government.
Yes, okay. That's true.
Okay, then so it's like in America, it's like everywhere. It's like a kind of puppet in front, and there is a whole bunch.
A lot of people working that you don't see them. You don't even know them.
Yeah, like in the whole world. That is what I was traveling around with Rise Up, like the whole world, and I compare like the whole world like to a McDonald's. It's everywhere the same. You can go where you go in a McDonald's is always the same. The door is the same, the food is the same, the service is the same, the outfit is the same, everything is the same. And that the whole world is done like that today. Like you have the same government, you have the same police, you have the same secret service, you have the same school system, you have everything becomes really same, and we are not far from the so-called New World Order. Because they mess up long time now, and I think they get really the grip on the community, and that is the part where the people will stand up, because if they see that this kind of things is coming to every community, before we say, yeah, this is in America, this is there, this is there, but now it comes everywhere, and that's why the people will stand up and will start to understand that the things are not correct anymore, and that the things are not working. So if I come back to to Syria situation, let's talk about the Syria situation today. um, we know from the mainstream media, we know that Assad is the bad guy and drop the bombs to all people and thing, and he say everything, and it's amazing. Like also what the last speech what he did, what he, I hear the whole speech with the English translation, and when the reporter or like the journalist, I don't call them journalists anymore because they are more like the reporter. So, but they're gonna turn the situation completely. That Assad is like blah blah blah. It's the same like with the Iranian with Ahmadinejad. When he make an interview, he take his own translator now. And he is right, because if you search who is translating on the UN, again it is an Israeli company who make the whole translation for the whole world. Anyway, if we come to Syria, from the mainstream, we hear that Assad is bombing the Syrian people, and from the undercover or from the alternative media, we know that the whole Western is bringing guns and arms. We even found Swiss grenades
Yes.
in Syria, and the people was like, oh, shocking. Why the rebels have Swiss war material in the war zone, and they are coming from Saudis, like Switzerland is all happy to say, like, I don't know how much guns out of the world, but then they are wonder when they are arriving somewhere in a war zone. So from the alternative media, we know that the guns are coming over Turkey to Syria, or maybe to from other parts they are coming.
Basically from Turkey. It's basically from Turkey.
Basically from Turkey.
Yes, there's a girl called Sibel Edmonds. Okay. Sibel Edmonds is a former FBI official. She retired from the FBI, and one of in her articles and interviews on Russia Today, she said that this so-called refugee camp in Turkey was settled before the crisis started in Syria. No, so the so-called refugee camps are some of them for the refugees, the others are for training rebels. This is a very basic thing for me. For Turkey, they sent their foreign minister to Syria since the first day of the crisis, and they told President Assad that everything would stop if you gave 1/3 of your cabinet to Muslim Brotherhood, and the same for the parliament. Everything would finish. We will stop the arms. We will stop the financial support to the opposition. And in Syria, the Muslim Brotherhood is banned in the constitution because of the incidents in the 80s and in the 70s, and they did a lot of terrorist operations inside Syria. And Assad refused. Then the Americans came, offered him to distance himself from Iran, from Hezbollah, and they promised him to stay in power and to cut all the logistic and the media support for the rebels. Assad refused. Because for Assad, he knows that if he gave up from his allies, they can throw him to the rubbish in any moment, like Gaddafi did. Gaddafi threw his chemical weapons, and then he became without clothes, without clothes. He can't defend himself.
It started with Saddam also. Saddam.
Yeah. The same scenario. They
exactly.
promise you everything, but, and then throw you in the first garbage.
If we just can come back to if we talk about the Muslim Brotherhood, I would like to talk about the Arab Spring. After my research, I would say there was only one real revolution happening, and that was in Tunisia. And even I have my little doubts. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I don't have like clear indication that say it's all made up. But for me, in Tunisia, started as you said, it was a genuine revolution. Even in Egypt, there was some sort of genuinity because
For
it
sure.
remained peaceful. And but at the end, like the Americans succeeded to guide the transformation in a political transition in Egypt because they backed Hosni Mubarak until the last day. When Hosni Mubarak fall, they have their allies like the Muslim Brotherhood was the ally of the Americans, and the political Islam was the ally of the Americans for a long
It's
time.
still,
They all
to,
made it up to face the Soviets
but that is
in
what
many places.
everybody is like scared of the Muslim Brotherhood. But just today, I hear that the IMF will go
Mm.
to will go to Cairo to discuss
Yeah,
the
yeah,
loan
yeah,
they
yeah.
want to
Yeah.
get. So
The Muslim Brotherhood, they claim to be the representative of God on the earth for Islam, but on the other hand, politically they are attached to the Americans and to IMF and the World Bank. So this is basically even the investments, the American investments will grow up in Egypt after Muslim Brotherhood.
okay,
The only test for the Muslim Brotherhood that if they have some radical elements inside the party and they would make some troubles with Israel. But as long as you have Erdogan and Morsi in as leader of this Ikhwan or the Muslim Brotherhood, nothing will happen because they are basically a very organized party. They are the most organized party, even in Syria now. Anyone who think that after the fall of Assad, some secularists will come to power, this is an illusion. Only the political Islam will replace it because this. The whole propaganda by Al Jazeera, the Qatari channel, the Al Arabiya, the Saudi channel, and many others were promoting these people for the last 2 years. They gave them all this money and opened them all the media channels for this purpose. Now, in Syria, we didn't have this takfiri ideas, these Salafi ideas. Most of the people, even if they are religious, but they were not takfiris. They were not ready to kill you because you are from other sect, you know.
yeah,
But now, what we are witnessing, like they stop a bus, they go to the bus. It's a transportation bus, you know. Christians and Alawis, yalla, down. And they would ask you for a ransom. If you don't pay a ransom, they would slaughter you and send you in pieces.
okay.
We would never saw such thing in Syria before, but now because the security apparatus is becoming weaker day by day, and people they feel free to do anything, you know.
Okay. We will talk about Syria, but what I just want to correct about the whole Arab Spring. I don't say the whole revolution was made up. It's just what I'm saying. I think in Tunisia, all everything is hijacked. I say
Mhm.
everything is hijacked. People don't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
realize how much everything is hijacked. So if you make a revolution, they will take advantage of it. If you are like a slave and you're working, they will advantage of it. It is like if you shut up, they will take advantage. They turn everything in their advantage. So I just say that in Tunisia, I think it was triggered by the people, maybe used by I don't know who. In Egypt, I think it was triggered by more CIA and stuff. But for sure, the people was not agreeing with Mubarak. They want to change, and when the elite see that the people really want enough change, so they just hijacked the revolution again to put it like in their direction because the people still need to follow others. That is like sheeples, like sheeps. They have to follow like somebody who guide them. So even if you have a revolution, they just jump on the next one. So that is, I think that is what the people need to understand, that they are enough strong to think themselves, and they know, everybody know what is right and what is wrong. That you don't need to explain. I have kids. You don't need to explain them. They know exactly when they are not cool and when they are cool. So just to say about the revolution, I think that was an important point to happen, and that the people are already going in the streets and saying no to something. but again, it was turned like at least in Egypt, it was very much turned to the elite. I was talking with guys also from Tunisia, like a taxi cab driver. Here he say nothing changed. This is, the government is still the same. It is.
Yeah.
It is exactly the same. So I think the whole revolution was good to make already people know that they have maybe if they put themselves together, they can have a voice. So if now we are coming to the Syria and the situation how it develops from 2011 to today. I hear from different sources suddenly, like they say also, like some newspaper journalist from UK, he went to Syria. I'm not sure. I think was before it came to Aleppo. Was before. He said the rebels, they don't even speak Arab.
Some of them, yes, yes.
Some of them don't even speak Arab. They are like foreigners. They have different passports. They are coming from completely somewhere else. They are not Syrians. So like the ones who was with the guns. I mean the ones who came like to start to shoot and to the so-called rebels from today.
Now, if we compare the numbers of the armed people, the armed gangs, we call the armed gangs, we have now like 8 to 10,000 foreign mercenaries in Syria, and the others like 50,000 are Syrians. Okay, so we have basically 60,000 armed men in Syria now.
How much you say foreign?
8 to 10,000 are foreign. And they basically come from Saudi Arabia, Tunisia a lot, and Libya. And these people like fought in Libya, and now they send them to Syria. With hundreds of people are coming from Turkey into Syria. If you ask any Aleppo people, residents, they would tell you that we never saw such long beards with Afghanistani style dress code. And what the government do, they kill someone from Afghanistan or Pakistan, keep his corpse on the ground. You know, they don't remove it. They keep it on the ground so that the people see that these people are mercenaries who are fighting in Aleppo. The problem in I will just give you a little bit details in Aleppo. Who betrayed Aleppo was one of the men of the regime. Okay, he was the head of the military, the military security of the branch of Aleppo. He was one of the leaders of the army. So he basically allowed 2,000 mercenaries to enter Aleppo into the city, from the suburbs to the city. And then he declared his defection from the army.
When was that?
It was 6 months ago,
okay,
if I'm not mistaken. But I can give you his name. I have the details on my laptop. His name is Muhammad, but I'm not sure of his family name. So he was basically cooperating with Turkey. He allowed them to enter to Aleppo, and then he declared his defection and escaping to Turkey. And on his way on the borders, the Turks killed him on the borders, because basically they used him. They got everything from him, and then they killed him on the borders. And not only him, even his family. The guy is well known that he's a very dirty guy, and he did the massacre in Hama. So it was a burden for Erdogan to give such man an asylum in Turkey. You know,
okay.
They had what they want, and they didn't kill him. I just want you to understand, people in Syria, it is. I can tell you, like 90% of the people are against the regime. Okay, but the vast majority of them are not with these people, you know. When you say that I'm not with the regime, but that doesn't mean that you are with these Salafis and these activists.
It's like you said. It's like you said that was. It's like a dream to return, like to the regime that was before.
Yeah, these people will turn Syria like 1,400 years back. These people are living still the days of the conflict between Ali and Abu Bakr, the first caliphates of after the Prophet.
But
these
the
people are still fighting in this mentality.
But the solution would still be a new government.
The solution?
Yeah.
For me, the solution should be first a unity government to redraft the constitution, because even the Christians are marginalized in this constitution. Because Article 3 says the president should be Muslim, and the Islam is one of the sources of legislation. But after when they redraft the constitution, I think it should be a parliamentary state, okay, government. The prime minister and should be elected by the parliament, not with the people, because I'm Syrian and I know that maybe the vast majority of the Syrians have no any political awareness. You know, these people are like a sheep. If the clerics say go for this guy, he will say ma, okay, like a sheep. He follows everything, all the orders of the cleric.
But I don't think everybody need to do politics. I think the people have common sense, and the simple people, if you go to farmers, if you go to simple people, they have the values, they have the moral, they know the real life. I think you don't need to explain them anything about politics, and it's not this kind of people who make the things worse, I would say, because they just try to live a simple life also. So in a way, I fully agree. I think the people who should awake, and they should know at least to who they give the power. That is very important, that they don't just give the power to because it is the government, because it is that. Just give any power away. They will fix the stuff for me, and if it's not so good, so I take it. And I think that that is in
our society still need like 10 to 20 years of mental development at least. People are still living like in the era of 40s and 50s, you know, especially this is I think this is a conspiracy theory, but the Syrian channel like broadcasted 6 years of Syrian series. It shows you how the people were living in the 40s and 50s in Syria, with knives and things like that, you know. And these people start to think, and the first time the people saw the independent flag was in this series, in this Syrian film. And the people start to think that they want to live that life, you know. They want to oppress their woman. They want to tell him, you are my slave, you do whatever I tell you to do. Because in the last few years, women in my country started to get liberated from the families, you know. Before 5 or 6 years, we didn't have this freedom in Syria, because this social development led to this freedom for women. And not only for women, you came and saw that we are able to go to party and no one can say anything to us. But when the government said, for example, I will open a casino in Syria, all the Muslims went against this decision, so that this is against religion, against God, against I don't know what they said. And then the government said, I will not allow people with niqab, this scarf that closes everything except the eyes, to teach the schools. Okay, because some teachers put this thing. I said it's not allowed because my society is secular and I want these children to grow up in a secular environment. But they also face a lot of opposition from the society. That means this government was trying to liberalize a little bit this society, but it is very difficult because these people are watching Saudi channels, Gulf channels. A lot of clerics are now, I will say, there's a cleric called his Sheikh Adnan Araur. He can tell like 100,000 people to protest in the street, and these people will go to protest. But if any opposition leader tells like Burhan Ghalion and others that go and protest, no one will go and protest. These people are driven by, by religious men, not with politicians. This is a very difficult issue for me because we wanted to change, but the worst people came to lead the change. And now we are saying, no, for example, I say I'm not loyal to the government, but I'm siding now with the government because the government is defending me.
I see.
It is the government who freed my brother. My brother was kidnapped by the Free Syrian Army a few months ago. They tortured him and they asked us for ransom. Like it was $40,000. They want us $40,000. Otherwise, they would send him in pieces to have. So we know how these people think. These people like still in the Stone Age.
Yeah, we saw when how it went in Libya. I think in Libya that was very difficult for the mainstream media to hide what was really going on. Uh, now in Syria, if we go back to the daily situation, what is happening, because in a way there's a lot of videos where I saw where how they was try to make the things up. It's just incredible. The people don't see it. It is so much, and like I'm watching news every day since 20 years. I have to say, and let's say like 10 years ago, or maybe more 15 years ago, they showed a lot of hungry kids in you know, like starving kids, and give us money for them and stuff, you know. And I say the foreign aid is you take money from poor people in rich country and you give it to rich people in poor country.
Poor country.
so everybody gives like money, and after a while the people saw so many hungry children, they stopped to put it on the TV because it didn't work anymore. The people don't give money anymore. If you put them too much pictures like that, you don't have. So like the last, I have to say, like the last 5-10 years, it get very sovereign. Even like when they attack Iraq, they show like almost everything they show on the TV, but not what was really going on. They're showing the bombing and the military and blah 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 blah, this and that, but they didn't show what was going on. They didn't show dead body. You know, was like that was like a motivation promotion war.
Yes.
Now, since Syria, every day, since it started, like since 2011, every day we see and they talk about Syria. They want so much to go to Syria. You know, it's like for me it's obvious. But what the thing is, and I watch that kind of thing because I know what is going on. So I take my distance. I don't put my emotions in it, because anyway it goes on. If I see it or I don't see it, I know it's going on. So and what is going on with Syria now? It is like you have a lot of bombings, right? You have a lot of bombing, and the bombings from planes are not happening from the rebels, right? So can you explain a little bit how the situation is, like how still get I mean, if you have rebels around, you a normal government would not bomb like a whole city to get the rebels out if he knew that there are like people living in it. So how this is going on? Can you explain us that?
The rebels now in Damascus and in Homs, they are on the suburbs, okay, of the city. The government comes every time. The government comes and they put in big speakers and they call the civilians to go out. The problem here in the current crisis, that it is similar to the war with the Muslim Brotherhood in the 80s and the 70s. Here is that many people are now sympathizing with these armed rebels. You know, in the 80s and 70s, when the government comes and you want to hunt this Muslim Brotherhood, everybody was cooperating with the government. But this time, many of them are cooperating with the Free Syrian Army. So these people, they don't have military base, they don't have united clothes. These people only carrying their arms, and they are hiding inside civilian places, you know.
So it's like a
for example, I will give you an example. Last week there was a military base in Aleppo. It falls on the hands of the rebels. Where was the bombing was going on? It was from the place of my uncle. Okay, he had a big place there. They put their these rockets and things like that, and they start shooting from there. We called the army. We told them, okay, we don't care about our house. Just make these people dead. You know, we don't care about our properties, but we don't want these people to occupy our place. And the government came and bombed it within a few minutes. But the thing is, this people, okay, the government is using the American-style bombing now. Like it came and it searched a lot during the air because I will tell you something. The plane, there's one plane over Damascus. There is one plane. It turns like 2 hours over a place and then it shoots, okay, a place. And at many places there are, for example, let's say if there's 50 armed men, there are also 100 people who are civilians in this place, and these people are going victims. And this is very wrong. Because the government cannot enter to this place because it is a very small places. You cannot enter with tanks, and the soldiers cannot walk because they are snipers, you know. And if you can't hide behind the tank and enter into this place, you will be shot like an rabbit in the area.
What you're saying, the army is not the army who have the snipers, right?
The army has the snipers, but let's say like you are entering an area, you are invading this area, okay? So militarily, you need something to protect your soldiers, and this thing should be tanks or other artilleries. And this tank cannot enter this place because it is very small and streets. The tanks cannot enter. That's why the government shoot them from distance, like from tanks, from the planes. But now even the rebels have stingers and anti-aircraft missiles. It's coming all from Qatar.
Okay. Yeah, that is the whole war thing. That is, yeah. If the people go to war, there is war. If they don't go to war, there is no war.
I think sometimes when the Western journalists say that the regime is violating human rights, okay, this is a war. You know, war is a violation of human rights. It's already everything is violation from both sides. It is a war.
Yeah.
And
It became a war.
What makes me crazy in the Western media that they keep telling you that they were rebels and the rebels captured a military base, but the Syrian army came and shot the civilians. This is illogical, you know. If you have 100 armed men occupying your military base, you don't go and shoot the civilians. This is very logic. But they give this impression to the viewers, and everybody is believing it. You know, the Syrian army is very weak and they cannot control, and they are shooting the civilians. They have a very huge army. It is 300,000 soldiers. They didn't use, they used until now only 50,000 of them. 2,000 dead, you still have 48,000 used in the conflict. You still have 250,000 in the reserve. So this is a very long
how they represent the so-called rebels from Syria. They are rebels. And then you go to other countries like to Afghanistan, and the same guys are like the jihadists. And then you go further, and it's like the Taliban. They just, it's the same guys, paid from the same guys. They just call them different to the purpose they need them. And that is very, very ugly what is happening. But today, I mean, 1 year ago, it was not a war. It was not a war. There was like some guys are coming, and there was only more guys are coming. And what can happen today? I mean, like Assad was saying, if the foreign countries would stop to paying the rebels, then the uprising would not be the same. Do you think there is a possible way out today, or what is the possible way out today, or do you expect that NATO UN will intervene?
I think the Americans agreed with the Russians in the last few weeks, especially when Barack Obama appointed John Kerry. He is close to President Assad, and he was in Damascus several times. He has his own dialogue with the Syrian president. The thing now, the Americans they don't want to see Al-Qaeda state next to Israel. This is maybe they want Muslim Brotherhood, but not Al-Qaeda, not the Jabhat al-Nusra, which labeled them as a terrorist organization. These people will not stop the violence in the Middle East, and they will spread it to Turkey and to Iraq and to Lebanon. Even though the Americans want chaos in the Middle East, but not in this way, you know, because they have their own allies too. The solution now is, I'm always promoting this on Facebook and Twitter, in all my interviews. Yani, the Syrian regime should give guarantees, clear guarantees, written guarantees to the Russians, to the Americans, that they would never touch any opposition who is willing to come and negotiate. Okay, to take to bring his arms on the floor and come to negotiate. But the problem is that you have a lot of security apparatuses. Some of them are still think that they can win this war, against opposition. They
Uh,
want a decisive victory, but this decisive victory is on the expense of the people's life. Now we reach into a certain level that everybody, even the loyal of the governments, are saying enough is enough. We want bread, we want fuel, we want to go to school. We don't want to a decisive victory. We want to live. This is now our goal. That's why the first thing is all parties should drop their weapons, and this will never happen without a deal with the Americans. The Syrian president should know he cannot win now. He cannot make a huge victory on the Americans. Maybe this battle, he can prolong this battle for or delay it for to other years. But for now, he is in a weaker position. He cannot win all the world, and the Russians will not give him nuclear weapons to protect himself against the Americans. They have to find a solution. This solution should be to bring the leftist oppositions from the non-Islamist opposition, and to give them at least some cabinets inside the government. You cannot keep all the cabinets for the Baathis. You have 30 ministries, 30. You can make 10 for the Baath, 10 for independents, and 10 for the opposition. And that's how no one can make an unilateral
but
decisions.
I mean, we see the so-called opposition is represented by some people that also went to France and was recognized by François Hollande.
Mm.
Who are these people? Are they really representing something, or are these just Western puppets, like Assad is saying?
For me, they are Western puppets, because these people, the Syrian National Council, and then the new coalition of the Syrian opposition has been formed in Qatar. The last one in Qatar, the other one was in Turkey, and these people were enjoying a very good high quality life with the best hotels, 5-star hotels, and they were fighting the regime on TVs, basically. They are not doing nothing on the ground. They are not intellectuals. They don't have any ideology to promote. These people are only cursing the Syrian regime on the TVs. Who is doing the work? These people who are carrying weapons. They are not carrying weapons, and they don't have any influence on these people. These people on the ground, some of them are loyal to Saudi Arabia, some of them to Qatar, some of them to Turkey. It depends on who is the founder.
Yeah.
Some of them are already called on the name of the king of Saudi Arabia, others in the name of Saad Hariri, the Saudi guy of Lebanon. So these people should, yeah, for me, we cannot negotiate with these people, because they are tools. As Assad said, we don't negotiate with servants. We negotiate with the master. The master is these countries. He meant that we are ready to negotiate with the master, who is Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. But for the Qataris, it became a personal issue with Assad. So if Assad didn't fall, it will Hamad who will fall.
Yeah.
And so maybe
but
even
then,
in Saudi Arabia.
but then, so you said, is a possible way to represent the so like, how to say, the it's possible to get people together to propose a new way, like you say, because the rebels, they are paid from foreign countries. They don't want to stay in Syria neither. They just want to get the money and want to go to the next war zone. So who could represent something new in Syria? Like what kind of they don't have Facebook neither. So how you can imagine something happen that somebody can propose something a peaceful solution to Syria? Who could be that?
For me, the best suitable man to change is called Haitham Manna. This guy is the head of the Syrian coordination body for democratic change in Syria. He lives in Paris. He is in exile. The guy is a human rights activist for 25 years, and he is a very well-known guy, and he is against the American imperialism, you know. And we need such people to make political openness, promote human rights, and to keep the position of Syria as an anti-imperial state. Because for me, like the first thing that comes into my mind when I see the rivers, I say, what would be the future of the foreign policy of Syria? Because I was so proud of the foreign policies of Syria. I'm very realist. I follow the realism approach in foreign policies, and I know that in this era you have to be powerful militarily and in security, and you have to defend yourself. But if you will give up everything to the Western, as these puppets are proposing, like they even hosted an Israeli reporter in Idlib, and they told him if Sharon came and invaded us, we will say "Salam alaikum, come and help us," you know. So this is a very sensitive issue for me because I'm very pro resistance. Even though, for example, I'm Christian, but I'm with Hezbollah and other Palestinian resistance organizations. Because for me, even if people came from Asia and resisted against the occupation here, I would support them. It's not a matter of religion; it's a matter of a few case, you know.
Yeah.
But if you check for Haitham Manna, he is a very decent guy, and I think he can make a change. And for me, in the speech, when President said, when we said there is an outside opposition and inside opposition, we don't mean the place of the man who is living in. He said there are a lot of people in the outside Syria and they are defending Syria. I think he was referring to Haitham Manna, and in the latest articles in Al Akhbar newspaper, it is a Lebanese newspaper, it's close to the Syrian regime. They said that the president is ready to give the government to Haitham Manna, like to be prime minister of Syria, you know. But this guy wants to change the constitution first before becoming a prime minister, because the prime minister of Syria is an symbolic, you know. They don't have a lot of powers. The president has everything. He can sack anybody from the government without asking anybody. So he should guarantee his powers before coming to Syria. And I think now President Haddad has no option because he knows that he cannot win this war. The Americans went to Afghanistan to fight this terrorism, so-called terrorism. You cannot win over terrorism because terrorism is not about people, it's about mentality. You have to change the social structure, not to fight them with weapons. When you fight this terrorism with weapons, they will become more radicalized and other people will start follow them. This is
just I mean, for Americans, we are the terrorists, you know. So
there is a memes on Facebook. Barack Obama is stating, "We don't negotiate with terrorists,
yeah,
because we are the terrorists."
Yeah. And there is also a singer joke. It is, you know what is the difference between a terrorist and a singer?
No.
With the terrorists, you can negotiate.
That's a good one.
Yes, very good one. Yeah, yeah. You know that I was a singer. So, so let's. If we take the thing together, the most important thing is that the people here around, they know what is really going on, because I was observing the thing like so much, and when I went back from Syria, I had to say that, like, oh shit, these guys, they need more liberty, you know. That was like how I feel, and how I was like, they need to get more freedom, more liberty, because like I usually, even here around, I feel very safe, and I don't really need like the secret service around me like 24 hours on 24 hours to stay safe. So for me, when I hear that, like in Syria now the revolution was also going on, and I needed some time too. I was even making a song for the revolution, and I was like until I really get that like everything is hijacked, and even the revolution was a good idea and was really nice that the people going up, but finally everything was hijacked. Even what is happening today, like in today, I really had like the full proof that everything was set up. If like the IMF come to Egypt,
Egypt.
is the end.
Yeah.
It's the end, like it's the beginning of the end, and the people really have to know that, and the Egypt have to know that too. That if the IMF come to Egypt, then they are sold. They are like they are not humans anymore. They are like a corporation ticket on their passport. That it is. And as soon as you get a corporation, then you are not a human anymore. That is a duplication of yourself. And so I think in the Western world, the people really have to know what is going on in Syria for real, because it is with the opinion like from here you make that armies are going to countries like Syria. You know what I mean? I saw that with everything. When it was in Libya, the people was like, "Let's go to war, let's go to war," and I was like, "But you are for peace, yeah, but Gaddafi, yeah, we have to bomb him, you know." Like, I don't understand the world. I'm the most I'm the most peaceful guy. I always try to find like the peaceful solution. So for me, I say if war. War for peace is like fucking for virginity.
For virginity. Yeah.
It is. It is not logic. It don't work. It don't work, and the system don't work neither. Because if you want something from a friend, you don't go to him and say, "Give me this. If not, I'm gonna hit you."
Yeah.
And everybody defending a system that is doing exactly that. And that is not human, and that's why I'm really thinking that the most important part is like that we always find a peaceful solution to everything, and the most incredible thing that is happening in the Western world is like that the people every day seeing like Syria, Assad is bad, and blah 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 blah, and nobody, not even the little most critic, and even worse than that is that if you say no, it is not like that, they say you
Yeah.
you're like the most crazy guy on the world, and you're the conspiracy blah 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 and thing. And I tell them, no, but did you make your own research? No, nobody make their own research. So that's why I really want to make something that we can bring out what is happening in Syria. If we just can make a little final step to say how much we are blinded by the mainstream media.
Look, I will send you a page now. Okay, it's Creative Syria. Okay, in English. This is our initiative for a peace plan in Syria. I recently I agreed on on all the articles because I wanted to read it all and see what are they proposing for in the future, and I certainly like it because it includes a lot of oppositions and those who are pro to the government, and they are proposing a political transition, and they are explaining everything. You can find it. I send you the link.
Yeah,
it's in English.
Yes, I see it.
All the concepts, like what's the concept of freedom in Syria, what should be happen in political transition, what article should be changed, everything, and the future of Assad, for example. And I agree on most of them, so I signed it today. And if they started the negotiation, I think it would be within 2 months. They would be in dialogue and the unity government. I think we should participate in this. We have an influence. Like, for example, me as an individual, I have an influence. Let's say over 60 people. Or maybe 100 people, and that's how we should spread this awareness that guys, the Lebanese fought for 30 years and they killed like 200,000 people, and then they sat together and they talked, and none of the leaders of the civil war died during the war. and don't expect Assad to die or Burhan Ghalion to die in this war. Only this is the people who will die. So we have to talk before these people sit together. You know.
Yeah, I see. Okay, I will study that. Can you send me also the name of the guy in France?
I will send you his name now on.
Okay, I have that. Thank you so much for all this information, and the best would be that we can keep in touch.
Yes, please.
Slow down.